guys, so today we're making bagels. I already made the dough about 20 minutes ago, and I divided into 12 equal pieces, and I made them all into this kind of oblong shape because it's a pre-shape to what we're going to do. We're going to roll them out till they're about this long. We want them to be even in thickness. We don't want them to have real big thick areas and then real thin areas. We're going to bring two ends together and overlap them, and then we're going to stretch one of them the whole way around the other. See that? Kind of makes a cuff. And then we have a bagel. On the baking sheet, you guys can see that it's kind of yellow. I put corn flour on it to help the bagels not stick, so that when we take them off tomorrow morning to boil them, we won't have any problems. So there we have two. If you just bear with me, I'm going to go through these quickly, do all 12. I think the repetition of watching me shape 12 bagels will help you guys to understand how to shape them. I am including this recipe in Google Classroom so that you can make them. But I know that yeast is really hard to find, so we're not going to be doing a yeast breads lab this week. Most stores do not have yeast right now. Now when you see me hold it up and roll it like that, just a few fingers on it and roll it back and forth, it's just to even out this and this cuff part and make it nice and smooth. There's no other reason for it. Once I have all 12 of them shaped, they go in the refrigerator overnight. And then tomorrow morning, I'll get up really early and I will show you how we boil them and bake them. So again, you guys can watch this video anytime that you want to make bagels and see the process. Well, here's number 9. So we are getting closer to the end. This is one of the recipes that my kids love the most. You hear them fighting in there? Fighting over Minecraft or Roblox. But they love these bagels. Atreyu will sometimes, these will grow and become full-size, really big bagels. Atreyu can eat 2 of them. He's only 7. I'm not sure where he puts it. Okay, this is number 11. 1 more to go. Pick up that extra dough there. We don't want to leave any of that behind. And again, we're just stretching it, pinching it together on the other side so it doesn't come apart in the water. Our bagels. I'm going to cover this pan, put it in the refrigerator. They will slightly rise overnight. Tomorrow we will again boil them and bake them, and you'll get to see some pretty awesome bagels. Good morning, everybody. We have everything started here that we need. I have the oven on to 425. I have water boiling, and I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of baking soda to that. It's always too much fun to watch it bubble up like that. That's going to help to give us that really nice golden brown crust on the outside of our bagels. I have a cooling rack and a towel underneath the cooling rack over here so that when I take them out of the water, I can place them onto the cooling rack. I am going to need a tool for taking them out of the water. I can't just grab them out of there with my hands. And we have our bagels here that were in the refrigerator all night long. They puffed up just a little bit, and they're going to do a lot more puffing in the oven. We do see a few bubbles on top. So I'm going to start by putting 3 into the boiling water. They're going to go in there for 1 minute. And I like to brush off a little bit of the cornmeal that's on the bottom. Just put them in from really close to the top of the water. You don't want to drop them from up high because then it splashes. If you put them in from really close to the surface, then they just slide into the water, no splashing. We're going to count to 30 and then we're going to flip them over. So in your head, counting to 30. Okay, we're gonna flip them, start counting to 30 again. Okay, so there we've got 1 minute, 30 plus 30 is 60, and there are 60 seconds in each minute. I'm gonna flip them over so that when I place them over here, they're right side up. And we're gonna toss 3 more in there. Once we have 6 ready, we're gonna put them in the oven, and then I'll give you a shot of what they look like at the end, after they come out. So counting to 30. Okay, flip 30 again. So we get an even boil. We want them evenly boiled. And since they're floating, we need to flip them. Oh, you hear the coffee maker, the Keurig. Mrs. K is playing with boiling water before her first cup of coffee. It's probably not the best plan. Okay, again, I'm flipping them over, placing them over here. Let them cool just a smidge. So inside my oven, I have a piece of steel. This is the purpose of the steel, making bagels, making pizzas. It gives us a wonderful crust. So it's just about a 1/4 inch piece of steel. It's called baking steel. And I want you to listen to what happens each time I place one of these on there. You hear that sizzle? That's going to give us a really wonderful crispy bottom. Helps to bake them through really quickly. And it gives us a really crispy crust on pizza as well. My kids love homemade pizza because of that baking steel. You can do sort of the same thing with a baking sheet. If you place a baking sheet down here upside down on the rack as you're heating up the oven, because you want your baking sheet or your baking steel, your baking stone, whatever you're using, to heat up to the same temperature as the oven. So you give it extra time to preheat, and you preheat the baking steel or your baking sheet with the oven, so it's hot too. and then you can place them on top of this. That also would give a little bit of the same effect, a little bit of that crispiness. So you can do sort of the same thing, maybe not quite to the same extent that the baking steel does, but you can get a little bit of the same effect with that. Okay, so about 18 minutes. We'll come back and check them. And I'm gonna have coffee while we wait. Hear that timer? That means our first round of bagels are ready. So I'm gonna use this pizza peel here, and these are our bagels. Look at them. They have a really nice crust on the outside. Beautiful golden brown because of that baking soda that we put in our boiling water. The bottoms, yes, that is hot, have a really, really crispy texture. And the purpose of the boiling was to make them nice and chewy on the inside, like a good New York style bagel, and that's exactly what these are like. Really chewy on the inside. For the next hour or so, they're gonna be really crispy on the outside. They get a nice crust on them, and perfect bagels. I'm gonna put them on the cooling rack, put the next 6 in the oven. Again, we hear that sizzle as they touch the piece of steel. I'm gonna set that timer. Come back in 18 minutes and then I'll show you a full batch and we'll put some cream cheese on a bagel and taste them. That's our second group of bagels ready to come out of the oven. My glasses are all steamed up now. I'm gonna just slide those over here. Hopefully not knock any on the floor. There we go. So the recipe, when you see it in Google Classroom, is going to be set up for different numbers of bagels. You can make 6, 12, or 25. I've never attempted 25. I don't have a mixer big enough to make and knead that dough. The most I've ever made is 12. But if we were in the classroom, each group would make 6. So I'm going to use my bagel guillotine and I'm going to cut one of these open so you can see what it looks like. Let's pick a really pretty one. Pretty perfect, right? Hear the cracking? It's got a really nice crust. And I want you to see what it looks like on the inside. So it really has a nice chewy texture to it on the inside. Not really big bubbles, not really small ones, just kind of perfect. We're gonna put some cream cheese on there, and I'm pretty sure Trey is gonna be storming the kitchen in a few minutes because he wants his bagel. Have a great day, everybody.